There is no greater need in the city of Chicago, and there's no greater need in America than the need for affordable housing, income-adjusted housing, housing that people can live in with decency and respect. The big issue in Chicago related to homelessness, hundreds and thousands of individuals in the streets, living under the viaduct, in tents, in shelters, walking with no place to go. We are standing in front of a building that could help meet many of those needs and provide opportunity for people to have decent housing, a decent place to live. And so I want to commend Anthony Oliver and his management group because they have taken on the task of attempting to restore this building to practical use. Those who see it, you can see that many individuals could live here. And I remember when many individuals did live here. We have joined with developer Anthony Oliver to try and restore this building to purposeful use. There used to be a time when the United States House of Representatives and the Senate earmarked thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of projects each year from legislative initiatives. That is where the members of Congress and the members of the Senate could earmark money for special projects. That practice was stopped when one year there was a huge earmark for something called a bridge to nowhere in Alaska, where a good deal of money was appropriated to build a bridge across a river, but there were only 50 people on the other side of the river. And so it didn't really make sense, but it was a boondoggle, and it was a bridge to nowhere. The practice was halted or stopped 3 years ago. Democrats decided, under the leadership of Nancy Pelosi, that we would try and get back to earmarking. And so each member of Congress was allowed to earmark 10 projects in the House. Then the next year, 10 projects. And then we went to 15 projects. One of the projects that we earmarked is an earmark for this building to help do the planning, help do the development, help do what it is. So we earmarked $2 million for this building to assist with the redevelopment of it. Of course, money and everything that is done in Congress is now at the whim of Republicans. And we are hoping that the Republicans will honor those $2 million, and that when the deal goes down, we are concerned right now, though, that there may not be a budget after the 19th. When we go back next week, our big task is going to be trying to reach an agreement on a budget for 2024. And that's why it is so important that Democrats regain control of the House so that we can make sure that money is available for the continuation of projects like the Guyane Hotel. So I want to thank Anthony Oliver again for the foresight and ask if he's got some comments he would make.
Thank you, Congressman. On behalf of our Next Generation Economic Development Team, I'm grateful for your commitment to community economics. You've embraced many defining moments since I've known you. First, as one of my founding board members for Streetwise newspaper in the early 90s. And now, the distinguished gentleman of the 7th Congressional District, you exemplify integrity and diverse thinking. You are a champion for all people. The true spirit of bottoms-up economics, meeting the community where it's at, and this is a reimagined Guyane Hotel. For years, I would come here and I would sit on that curve over here, right across from the Guyane. And I would dream. Sometimes I would even count cars. Many times I stood right there, Congressman, in that intersection, imagining what could be. What was most important is a prayer. I prayed for a clue or an answer, much like I did when I built Streetwise, because it was much bigger than me. I believe that our economic promise for the future and the sustainability of our community falls well within what we can do here with the Guyane Hotel. Congressman Davis, your support, your leadership is one of many we will need to get this project to reality. Thank you for leaning into the future. I pray that our city can successfully move beyond its tough challenges of this moment and see us.
Listen.
Us. I hope that low-income communities unite to embrace the open market, to create initiatives around consumerism, real estate, healthcare, and next-generation small businesses. Economically growing people with community from the bottom up is not a new initiative, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. It is what we must do. It's the winds beneath our wings. On behalf of tens of thousands of Streetwise vendors, my awesome community investment partners such as Full Circle Services, our CEO, Corey Oliver, and Civic Consortium of Small Businesses, I view this award as a great sign of things yet to come. As we continue our long journey of meeting the community where it's at from the bottom up. Again, Congressman, thank you so much for considering us.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And you know, many people don't know that social service agencies not only provide services, but one of the services that those that are innovative and creative have been able to generate. And I noticed that with us is Mr. Donald Dew, who is the Executive Director, President of Habilitative Systems. they have done some extensive housing for senior living and senior citizens. And Don, would you just share with us what it's like to develop a big building where hundreds of people can live in and what it takes to do that?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Congressman Davis. And again, we cannot express our appreciation enough for you for the work that you've done in terms of community support, community investment for over 50 years that I've known you. And you've done it at every level of government, at the city, county, and of course now at the federal government. We truly appreciate all of your investment and your servant leadership. You know, senior housing, of course, has been at the top of the agenda for many, many years. And HSI has been fortunate enough to receive funding, of course, through the support also of Congressman Davis, to develop 160 units of housing for senior citizens. Again, you know, these are folks who, in many cases, this is really the best living that they've ever had. Beautiful facilities that are safe and secure, and it's significant. We've also been able to develop another 40 units of housing for persons with developmental disabilities. And Congressman, I would be remiss if I did not also acknowledge the $500,000 congressional earmark that you provided to Habilitative Systems to renovate our main facility. A facility that was in need of repair, that was built in the early 1900s, originally occupied by the Belden Manufacturing Company, now a multi-billion-dollar company. So great things can happen from very small places on the west side. And so we'd like to be able to come forward with a new renovation effort. And again, we appreciate your support. That effort has begun. We intend to do a grand opening in the spring, a re-grand opening, if you will. And again, we appreciate your support on this project as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And let me just ask if the press has any questions. I noticed that the North Lawndale News Association is here with us. Any questions?
Can you talk about any details of the renovation project?
Yeah, happy to do so. For the last 3 years, we've been doing a lot of due diligence with this building. We've done environmental studies. We've gotten the plans for construction in place. We've gotten our architectural designs. This is a full gut rehab. We anticipate that this is going to be about $60 million when it's said and done to get this back, because it's a historical building and we're going to have to keep it within its frame of being a historical building. So we believe, Isaac, that if we hit this correctly, the economic boom, even though this will be 60 million, the economic boom for the surrounding 1 mile radius can equal clearly into 1 billion. And that has everything to do with housing. It has to do with increased appreciation, increased values, putting people to work in our community, and owning our own community wealth from the bottom up. We need that now. Out of any time in history, we need to do for self and claim our own wealth instead of letting other people come in and claim it. This is a community focus. It's a vision for everybody. So we do want to get the community engaged. At the end of the day, we want the community to own it. I have no ambitions of long-term ownership. This is the communities. So we want the community to buy in and take full advantage of it.
You speak of community. What are the targeted tenants that you want to point at benefits from this project?
Clearly, we will be a LIHTC deal. And when you do a low housing tax credit deal, there are certain parameters that you have to stay in regarding income. Okay, so we will be clearly affordable housing, no doubt about it, within minimum wage all the way up to $20, $22 an hour. We'll be able to afford housing in this particular building, but also the building has to be sustainable. We realize that some of the faults of the past is that you put too much of one thing in a building and you create what is called a lopsided symmetry and imbalance economically. What happens when the grants go away? You have to create some of the market rate tenants in it to create what is called net asset value, and that asset value becomes sustainable over time for this building. So we're going to do mixed use as well. There's a lot that we plan to do that we're going to open up to the community about, and we want to get the community's vision and how we do it. We do not want to just jump in and say, let's go one direction. It's time to listen to the community.
This project is set within the limitations of an historic building. Is there any green energy additions that can fit into that?
Oh, absolutely. We're going after anything that breathes. And you know, green is important. It's great air. If you look at the rooftop, which I want to get some people from the community to look at it and just sit there on that rooftop. And you look at and you think about a garden up on that rooftop that creates new oxygen, that has energy, that has solar paneled energy. I mean, this is reimagined time where we can get people involved from the bottom up, bring small businesses with big ideas and include them in the future of this particular project.
Can you tell us your name?
Anthony Oliver. I am the founder and chairman of Community Venture Investment Corporation. I'm also the founding executive director of Streetwise newspaper.
A final question. Congressman, can you explain more about the tax credits that will be added?
Well, you mentioned green, and I'll just remind you that we just got $5 million for the building at 325 North Austin a few months ago, well, about 2 months ago, for them to redo that building and make it a green centerpiece for the area. They got $5 million for that building from HUD to do that. But when you do a project like this, you find a way to finance it, and you generally have to use many different approaches. You don't necessarily get $65 million from one shot, or you don't get $100 million from one place. You have to piece together and package the financing. And over a long period of time, of course, the building pays off whatever debt, whatever loans, because if 100 people are paying rent every month, that sustains the building. I am fortunate to be one of the original sponsors of the New Market Tax Credit, which was sponsored by myself, Jim Talent, and J.C. Watts when Bill Clinton was president and Denny Hastert was the Speaker of the House. We got that bill passed, and of course it's renewed every time it runs out. But that was the last bill that Bill Clinton signed as president of the United States of America. And since then, billions of dollars of new market tax credits have been used all over America in disadvantaged communities to assist in the rebuilding and redevelopment of those communities. Of course, there's low-income housing tax credits. There are numerous tax credits that are used, and so you bring together all of these instruments until you get what you needed, and that's what developer Anthony Oliver and his team are doing, and that's the way you do it.
One final question. Is there a projected end date for completion?
Right now, the Congressman mentioned stack funding. And so we are working with the city, we're working with the state, we're fundraising at this particular point. We think this is a 3 to 5 year project, to be honest, yeah.
You start at the beginning and move to the end. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Congressman.